Recent headlines screamed, "The U.S. will default on its debt by next July." Is that going to happen? No, that's not going to happen. I've been in the investment business for a long time, and those scary headlines pop up every few years. Congress threatens default in order to extract promises from the opposition, but they always raise the debt ceiling at the 11th hour in backroom negotiations. All that's missing these days are the cigars. If they didn't raise the debt ceiling, they wouldn't be able to pay the millions of federal workers. They wouldn't contribute to the retirement plans. They wouldn't pay interest on their debt. It's just never going to happen. They will always raise the debt ceiling at the last minute. What is going to happen is what has happened throughout all known history to all governments, and that is they create more money to meet their obligations and keep the public happy. More paper money. These days, more electronic money. That's what they will continue to do. Our only hope is that they do it slowly enough so that it's not too noticeable to the voting public. People have predicted default disasters for all of my adult life. Modern politicians and economists are fond of saying that the U.S. has never defaulted on its debt, which would occur if we hadn't raised the debt ceiling, but that's not true. There are sneakier ways to default. Prior to 1933, the U.S. promised to repay its debt in gold. But in 1933, the government decided they would instead pay in dollars, no longer tied to gold. They unilaterally outlawed gold bonds. So that was a breach of a promise, which is a default. Then, prior to 1968, dollar bills were called silver certificates. You could turn them in and receive silver dollars. In 1968, the government just said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. You can't redeem your dollars for silver. They're just dollars. That's another default, a failure to keep that promise. The third one was in 1971. Prior to that time, the U.S. said it would redeem dollars held by foreign governments in gold. In 1971, they unilaterally announced they wouldn't do that anymore. So what should an individual investor do knowing all this? Let's talk about that in the next video. Please like and subscribe so you won't miss it.